So a couple of weeks ago, I brought a Mitsubishi Triton into some relatively rough terrain, and I'll link to the video on the bottom. So today, the Triton was excellent, loved it. So then the thought was, well, I wonder how that compares to other buckies. I mean, 4x4s, we know it can go on 4x4 trails and pretty intense stretches of road. Wrong gear. But buckies are getting increasingly better at handling really hectic pieces of road. So today we have a Isuzu KB300 club cab thing. So it's not like a double cab, but it's not a single cab. There's just like this gap behind me. And it's a 4x4. It has low range and it has a diff lock, both of which have been engaged. And we're going to go find out how this Isuzu handles some really hectic dunes. In fact, going to be the exact same dunes that I took the Triton on. So while we're navigating some interesting terrain, the interior of the Isuzu, as I said in a Triton video, you know, these things are all pretty much much of a muchness. They don't like really jump out at you. They don't really jump out at you. If you want an interior to jump out and really impress you, go buy yourself an Audi or a BMW. So there's nothing to write home about here. But it's functional, neat, it's tidy, it works. The steering wheel's got some stuff in the middle. Triton's probably slightly more upmarket than the Isuzu is, but otherwise it's pretty much the same thing. On-road driving between the two buckies would be relatively similar. On the road, the Isuzu drives quite fine. It's a bit like a large, awkward, but friendly kid. So he seems a little bit intimidating, but he's actually just got the heart of a teddy bear, and it couldn't hurt a fly. That's what this bucky is on the road. It's big and intimidating, but it doesn't go very fast, and it's a bit clumsy. But what we really want to know is that if you've bought a 4x4 bucky, does your 4x4 bucky actually perform like it should? But what I want to know is, how good is this Isuzu bucky off-road? Anybody can test the car on an open piece of road. You can't always bring a car off-road. And that wasn't very good, was it? That thing stalled on the first hill. Low range engaged, diff lock on. Just didn't like that. Up. That is territory we brought both the Pajero and the Triton into, and it just sucked it up like, seriously, like it was nothing. It cruised over that without any hesitation whatsoever. This is really struggling. This got stuck. That was such a simple hill. I'm afraid it can go where a sedan can't go. But that was like 30 seconds of sand dunes. And the Bucky has like 30 seconds of sand dunes. And this Isuzu was struggling to do what the Triton and the Pajero just sucked right up. Kind of disappointing actually, because I wanted more from this Bucky. I wanted this thing to handle properly. I wanted this thing to give. I wanted the Isuzu to go down with at least a fight. Nothing else to it. We've got low range engaged, four-wheel drive, low range engaged, four-wheel drive, low range with the diff on, and she's just not a happy camper. If you go off the beaten track slightly, like this, she's okay. The minute you get into anything that is not even that strenuous, she's not okay. Let's try that again. Maybe it's just unlucky. See, she can do the basic stuff. This is not a hardcore 4x4 machine. Look, I wouldn't bring any kind of non-four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive car in here. I certainly wouldn't bring anything that doesn't have some decent ground clearance. If you just need to tackle terrain that is otherwise inhospitable to everyday cars, then this Bucky will get you there. I'm not. Let's try again. Just you can do some rough stuff, but not a huge amount of rough stuff. So it's okay. I'd give it a 6 out of 10 for its off-road 4x4 capabilities. Oh, that's okay. This road is incredibly rocky when you're not on the soft sand. And in a normal sedan, it would quite literally shake the car to pieces. This Isuzu though is handling it relatively well. I mean, it's a bit bumpy, as you can no doubt see, but it's not unbearable. You could actually cover a fair distance. You could cover a fair distance on road like this in this car. And if it's like squirmy sand, I mean, look, you never bring any kind of two-wheel drive car through this kind of stuff. So this Bucky is handling this like a champ. Getting up into the thick stuff, I'd think twice about just careering in there. So if you're in soft sand, it pulls. It can pull you out. The minute it kind of starts digging in, it gets buried. Then not so much. So let's see if we can go down. It can go down nicely. The Isuzu feels like it wants to just get dug into the sand the whole time. As if it's not kind of working its way through the sand, it's working its way like into the sand. Which I'll be honest is not ideal. You kind of want. She seems to lack a little bit of confidence in trying to navigate sand. It just squirms a little bit more than I'd ideally like it to squirm on the sand. Look, let me not bash this thing too much. I mean, it's capable on some pretty insane terrain. Just not as capable as I think I would have liked it to be. If you're a fisherman, like a lot of the guys who fish here are, and you need a car to get in and out of here, to go fishing, then this bakkie will serve you really, really well. Seems to be when you hit something at a really sharp angle, there's a lot of loose sand. It just kind of digs itself in. But on soft surfaces that are just really unstable, what this bakkie does do really well is reverse itself quite nicely out of tricky situations. So I suppose there's that, right? As an all-rounder, this bakkie does really well. It's spacious to work with and load and put stuff in. It's just fine to drive on the open road and use as an everyday car. It's okay off-road. I keep reiterating that, like, where I'm driving, you cannot just bring your GTI or your Golf or your 3 Series. You need something that's pretty capable of handling off-road terrain. And this bakkie handles the vast majority of really tricky terrain quite well. I wouldn't race it in the Dakar though. Stick to the Pajero. So price on this car, manual gearbox, 4x4 KB300, extended cab, just over 400,000 Rand. And if you go for the automatic KB300 double cab, which is kind of the top end of the range, probably in for around the 500,000 Rand mark. That's where I'll admit, like, most of the bakkies sit. Now the Hilux and the Amarok get a little more pricey, but for the most part, for the most part, it's not badly priced. It's well in the ballpark of what bakkies cost.